don't see anybody's face.
Okay. Hello?
Hello. Go puff it.
Can you hear?
Hi, Rick. Barry's just dialing in now.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I can hear everyone.
Oh, okay, great.
So I guess we'll wait a couple minutes.
Susan's here. Can you hear me?
Good. Thank you.
I don't have a picture going. I don't know how. I lost my. Aha.
It's your new leader. It's Lois is going to take over, Mr. Goat.
Rats, I missed Wayne. Hello.
Hi, Richard.
How you doing, Barry?
Good.
I tried calling a couple minutes ago and it wouldn't let me. So, but I'm here now. If anybody wants a recipe for Barry, let me know.
Okay.
Barry, if I hand controls over to you, you're able to manage the meeting, yes?
Okay. Yeah.
Randy Hitler.
Enough, Wayne.
Okay, it's 6:02. I think we have enough people to start the meeting right now. So I'll call the meeting to order and do roll call. Barry Johnson, I am here. Jeff Carter.
There we go. I'm here via Zoom.
Okay. Rick Rosner.
Hey.
Richard Adams.
Moo.
Susan Hammer.
That's me.
And Richard Niederberg has not joined us yet, but we do have a quorum.
Barry, we can't see you.
Moving on, I don't have a camera.
Oh,
Moving on to number 2, approval of meeting minutes. It's been many months since there was a government affairs meeting, and I don't have any minutes for us to approve from the past. So we will do that at our next meeting for this meeting. Moving on to number 3, update by the committee vice chair. Our chair.
That's public comment.
Our chair, Lois Weinsaft, has had some COVID issues within her family and participating tonight. And so I am doing the meeting in her absence, presiding over it. And I just want to thank all of the people on the committee that agreed to be on the committee. Thank you for your service. And I think we can move on to number 4, public comments on non-agenda items within the committee's jurisdiction. And I'm going to limit public comments tonight to 1 minute. So are there any public comments tonight for item number 4? All right, I see Goat Puppet.
I'm raising my hand.
Goat Puppet, do you want to go ahead?
Yes,
1 minute.
Yes, just to note that the first 3 items, Goat Puppet raised his paw on number 2 and 3, but Barry Johnson wants to go to prison like the rest of them, denies public comment like the asshole that we know he is. Now, you thanked him for serving. Why did you ambush Eric Previn? He was more than willing to serve, wasn't he? But the problem is that he got a little too close to the FBI shit, and you showed him the door. Therefore, you're all engaging in potential overt acts to protect Paul Martin Krikorian, the disbarred lawyer, and his campaign donors, and the corruption. Reopen item 2 and 3, or get it Kieran correct. Lois Wineshaft has never been here, never will, and you know why? You're not her kind of people. You're not in her class of people. That's why. So why did she agree to do it? Why, Randy?
All right, thank you. Thank you. Your 1 minute is up. Is there anyone else who wants to speak?
Yeah, Eric Previn, asshole.
Yeah, my hand's up.
It says lower hand.
Oh, okay. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi. It's
Go
Eric
ahead.
Previn. Thank you. Hi, Barry. It's Eric Previn, former Government Affairs Chair and member of the public, resident of Studio City for 35 years. First of all, I don't understand why it's limited to 1 minute. That's just so contrary and a great example of what's different, because it's hard to say a lot in just 60 seconds. That said, what I'll talk about today is the news that the city attorney's office, in October, we made some motions and brought them to the council, and the council voted unanimously, not quite unanimously, sort of 11-3 and 10-2 or something, to send a note to Mike Fuhr, the city attorney, and also to the U.S. attorney, Mac Jenkins, who, has been watching City Hall, but the DWP lawsuit, which is really a stinky one, was out of control, and Fuhr, today it was settled by the judge that Mike Fuhr and the city of Los Angeles have to pay $2.5 million because they were hiding evidence. And, that's totally inappropriate. And now the taxpayers are on the hook. This follows on the Mitch O'Farrell lawsuit, which was forged with taxpayer dollars, was provoked, basically. Anyway, long story short is I want to thank the Government Affairs Committee from the past for doing that work and staying after the powers that be and holding them accountable. And I want to just say that it was not a kosher transition, because there should never be a person who's doing diligent work. And I ask Rosner and Carter to step down, because this is nonsense. We should have been meeting and
All right,
setting up
your minute is more than up. Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else? I see Jeff Carter. Go ahead, Jeff. Unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Now,
Yes.
All right. First of all, I would like to, these are points of order. Could Goat Puppet identify himself by his name?
By law, I don't think they have to identify themselves.
Well, they have to sign when they sign into a meeting.
Actually, no, they don't. But that's a whole other discussion.
No, it's not. No, it's a point of order, whoever that is. Who is that?
It's Richard Adams.
Richard, hi, how are you? It's a point of order. And I think that the person should identify himself by his real name. Otherwise, we don't know where he is, who he is, if he's a resident within the, if he's a stakeholder. I'm just going on record to say that. Number two, I have been out of this for quite a while. I was, to whoever said that we were engaging in improper activity, I was invited to rejoin or to continue to join this committee. And I resent the implication or the allegation that somehow my participation is improper. So that's a point of order. It's perfectly proper. And I sent a nice note to Mr. Johnson and thanked him for asking me to come back. And that's all I know about it. So that's the second point of order. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Barry?
Yes, Richard.
Couple quick comments.
And
One-
I'll say that we've moved on to number 5 because these are really
Yeah, I'm not going to get into it.
I need less than a minute.
No.
I
Okay.
need less than a minute. First off, let me say how glad I am to see the Government Affairs Committee actually back looking at the sort of items they're supposed to be doing after 2+ years of wandering around chasing after whatever shiny object somebody was interested in at the time, land use or anything else. And Jeff, just for your general comment, knowledge, that's Wayne from Encino. He's well known. So's the goat puppet. If the goat puppet's here, it's Wayne. So it's not a secret. And with that, I'm done.
All right, thank you. So if there's no more comments, Scott Mandel, I see your hand is up. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Scott Mandel here. My public comment is tied to the general direction that is on your agenda regarding development, corruption, and all of the problems at City Hall. We have 2 enormous developments going on in Studio City right now. You don't need me to tell you that. One of them is Shops at Sportsman's. And I've been viewing the Land Use Committee and some board motions that were voted on. And while I'm not accusing anyone of being too cozy with the developers, I'm certainly getting the impression that it appears as if there may be some coziness between certain people on certain committees versus the development and motions being approved without people reading the motions. In light of all the corruption and all the materials you're going to be getting to, I would hope this committee would keep a very watchful eye on what's going on right under our noses at Sportsman's and at Harvard Westlake, because a lot of people have been saying about trusting the developers, and that is a bunch of horse manure. Do not trust, verify first. And I know we're all anxious to shop at the Shops at Sportsman's, but we shouldn't be in a rush to do their bidding for them. Thank you.
Yes, and just so you know, the Sportsman's development has been vetted already by the city, and they have the go-ahead with what they're doing. However, Harvard Westlake has not, and eventually they're in the notice of preparation mode right now for creating a draft EIR, which they will eventually do. And when that draft comes out is the time when the neighborhood council will respond to that draft and any concerns they have for that property. So you can be sure that this neighborhood council will be looking over that draft EIR and responding. But you know, as far as Sportsman's goes, for what they're doing now, it's been approved. So if they vary from what they've been approved to do, we can raise the red flag. But right now, they're just pursuing what they've been approved to do. So, all right. Any other hands right now? for public comment. Go ahead, Jeff, for response to public comment.
Someone identified the name of Goat Puppet. I didn't hear it clearly. What was the name?
Wayne from Encino. That was me, Richard.
And who is Wayne from Encino?
A well-known gadfly.
So he's not he does not live within our boundaries.
No, but he routinely participates in our meetings. That makes him as much a stakeholder as you and I, Jeff. He has been for quite some time.
How is he a stakeholder?
He's active in our community.
So, yeah.
My point of order stands.
All right, thank you. I'm going to move on to number 6, discussion and possible motions with community impact statements with respect to 4 different city council files that all have to do pretty much with corruption in the city. You have the link to the council file, which also can lead you to the link for the actual motion that was made by a city council member. I'm assuming everyone has read this, given you have the links. And my proposed, we'll have discussion, but I just want to say my proposed motion for the first one, 20-0980, is the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports Los Angeles City Council file number 20-0980 to revoke approvals of development projects and terminate project applications proven tainted by corruption and fraud. And I have this motion is to be submitted as a community impact statement to Council File 20-0980.
I second.
Thank you, Richard. And I'll go to public comment on this first one. Does anyone have anything to add on this one? All right. Any committee members?
I read all 4 motions. I'm in favor of them.
Okay.
We're not trying to legislate. We're not trying to legislate people's behavior. We're always going to have corrupt politicians, corrupt appointed board members, various committees and things, and corrupt city employees. But this takes the wind out of the sails. Anybody gets caught, which may reduce somewhat the cheating and scandalous behavior, or if nothing else, they'll be a lot more careful about how they go about it.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you. I read this in detail, and I have notes and all sorts of things. I would say I agree with your motion, Barry. I would only say as written, if that adds anything. And there's one thing in here that could be a giant loophole, which maybe you can clear up. Section 11.3.6, effect on other agencies. It says a city council determination under this article shall not have a binding effect on another city agency with independent enforcement authority in related matters. So what happens if there's a conflict between the conclusion that the city council reaches on an issue under this, and the conclusion that another independent city agency with an independent enforcement authority reaches?
Say, for instance, building the safety.
Richard, can I finish, please?
Sure. I thought you were done, Jeff.
I don't know where the hostility is coming from, but it sure is coming out. So,
I'm not being hostile, bud.
what?
I said I'm not being hostile, Jeff. You're one of the few people in town I actually like.
Well, thanks. But can someone answer my question instead of making a speech about
Actually, I
irrelevant
concur
points?
with your point. I think it's well taken and well said.
So what do we do?
Amend the motion to include some language that I guess you can craft, saying that we oppose Section 11.3.
No, I don't. I don't. I'm just saying, is there a way to ask the writer of it to consider language which would clear up that possible problem? I'm not going to draft language on this.
No, I meant to add to our motion, Jeff.
Yeah, well, we'd actually have to say we oppose this unless they add blah, blah, blah.
Or remove blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, in that
Well,
case, I
city
would say that
council-
the city council's conclusion would be
Binding?
would override any different conclusion by a government agency.
And the
City
thing is,
agency.
they're recognizing that they don't have the power to tell another agency something, I think, in this case. So I don't know if they can undo that.
I don't know. If it's a city agency, what do you mean the council can't tell the agency what to do?
Yeah, that's my point.
Okay, well
You
then let's
could-
change this to say, instead of support, opposes. And then after the word fraud, unless, and what would you want to say? Unless,
The city council ruling is binding on all agencies,
Good.
all city agencies.
I'll vote for that.
the city council, go ahead, Richard.
The city council finding is binding on all city agencies.
The city council findings are binding on all city agencies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's ridiculous to say the city council's in charge of the city and funds all the departments and everything else. But if building safety decides to run down the road and say, no, we want to build this anyway. Oh, okay, nothing we can do.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. It's a huge
No,
loophole
I think that's good.
that you could drive a truck through.
Sideways.
Right.
So I have two people that have raised their hands. I'll go to Scott Mandel first.
Hi there. I just wanted to remind you about the fact that this is, you're discussing a development approval that was previously vetted by the city is now being called back because of corruption. So please keep that in mind when dealing with sportsmen's, that you don't simply say, well, the city already approved it. The city already approved what you guys are discussing right now. And lastly, these are brand new applications that were just filed at the city website at the end of August. These applications are not approved, and the vetting process is just beginning with the delivery of these notarized applications onto the city website. So this is not old news. This is brand new, topical, relevant, and current. Thank
You
you.
know,
Right.
if I may say, I'm not talking about any specific project, any specific issue, any specific lawsuit. I'm simply talking about the language. It could cause what I said. And I think that saying that the city council, who is higher than the city council? The mayor? I don't know. But that the city council's determination is binding and however Richard said it,
On all subordinate, on all
overrides,
city agencies. Yeah.
overrides any other agency's conclusion. Because
All right, I have one
otherwise,
more.
you're going to have, it's going to be a disaster. Otherwise,
more
it's
hand.
beautiful. They even cite RICO in here. It's incredible.
Right, and keep in mind, these are all this motion is in general. It's not about a specific development because
That's
we're
my point.
commenting on an existing council file.
That's right. We're talking about the motion, not, property A, B, C, or D.
So, one more hand. Goat, Puppet, go ahead.
Yes. So now, you want to be white hats, huh? You've been spending all of these times, all these years with Goat Puppet and other people. Well, you're a puppet. Shut up. And you have to realize that it's too late now. The goats have left the barn on corruption, sir. It's too late now to not admit that you're part of it. It's you and everyone like you, Barry, and you, Randy, that allow people like Paul Martin Krikorian to hire all the city's attorneys when he has a suspended bar license. It's you that allows corruption. You created corruption. How can you fix it? You can't.
I'm going to make another
Thank
point
you.
of order and object to this gentleman's statement. We don't know his full name. We don't know where he lives. We don't know really who he is. And to have him try to dominate this meeting, I find irregular. And that's the point
Okay.
of order. Just for the record.
Noted and on the record, thank you. All right. Any other committee comments?
I move we
All
vote
right.
Second.
Yeah. Thank
as
you.
amended.
And I will read it one more time. The Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council opposes the Los Angeles City Council file number 20-0980 to revoke approvals of development projects and terminate project applications proven tainted by corruption and fraud unless the City Council findings are binding on all city agencies. And I have a second from Richard.
I seconded it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he seconded the motion to vote.
Yeah, Carter did.
Okay, got it. For those of you who I have visual, let me see a raise of hands who are in favor. Okay, Rick, Susan. Jeff, how do you vote? Richard Adams?
Yes. You put me
Okay,
down as a
and I
yes
vote-
for all four motions.
Yeah, I vote yes. And Jeff Carter?
Aye.
It-
Yes.
Okay, so it is unanimous for those members at the meeting tonight. All right, I'm going to go on to the next one, which is Council File 20-1044. And again, it's about corruption. And this one I have, the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports Los Angeles City Council File number 20-1044 to develop criteria for approving high-value projects and amend the planning process so these projects are diverted from Plum and go directly to the City Council. This motion is to be submitted as a community impact statement to CF 20-1044. And again, this is one where these really huge projects that the city sometimes has, instead of 3 to 5 members on the Plum Committee voting, it would take the whole City Council to vote to approve. So in my opinion, I think this one is also good. And do we have any non-committee members? I see Goat Puppet. Go ahead.
Yes. Goat Puppet is against this horrible motion. How are the city council members on Plum supposed to feed their families? If you take these projects out of Plum, who's going to pay for the whores? Who's going to pay for the alcohol? Who's going to pay for the private jets? How's Las Vegas going to get back on their feet if we stop the Plum from taking all the cash? So on behalf of all of the merchants and all of the committee members of the Las Vegas Gaming Commission, we hereby oppose this fucking shit. And let's continue. Weezer 2.0, Trump 2.0, Mike Pence 2024 for president. Really?
All right,
Yeah.
thank you. Go ahead, Jeff.
Again, a point of order. This is a meeting of the Neighborhood Council Government Affairs Committee and is not a forum for political advertising or supporting or going against a candidate. And I would deem the final comments of this person who can't even show his face on the thing here as that they should be stricken. And that's a point of order and a request. Otherwise,
All right.
I think, can I say one more? Are there any
Yes.
other public people? No? Can I just
Go
say
ahead.
one other thing I thought was notable about it? If we actually want to talk about the law and the resolution and not insult people, it's that last, it's the second part of the motion that they establish new protocols around communication between developers and council offices that take place outside of official meetings and hearings. And when I saw that, it seemed to me that that was very notable and made this particularly a particularly good motion, which I support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other committee member comments?
I've got a question, Barry. Richard?
Yeah.
Okay, so we take it out of Plum, and it goes straight to the city council. And who's the FBI been arresting? City councilmen. You know, not that...
Yeah.
There are some of these things that should probably only go in front of a public vote, which, of course, is never going to happen, but enough is as good as a feast, and this is better than what we've got now, which was everything going to Plum and palms being greased and handshakes being done, and presto changeo, this project, which doesn't meet any standards, is approved. So it's better than what we got now, so yeah, I'm in favor. I second the motion.
Thank you. Seconded by Richard. Okay. Is there any other further discussion by committee members? Go ahead, Jeff. Okay. Hold
Move to
on.
vote.
Okay. Got it. All right. All in favor? Okay. Susan, Rick, Jeff. How about you, Richard?
Told you before, yes on everything, unless
Yes,
somebody
thank
makes
you,
major
Richard,
changes.
and
to
I
them.
vote yes, so it's unanimous.
And this is being
Okay.
recorded, right?
Yes,
Good. Okay. Carter votes for.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and just by the way, when the board votes on these, because they are community impact statements, it will have to be a roll call vote because the roll call vote has to be submitted with the community impact statement. So I'll let our president know because we haven't done too many of these lately. So we'll make sure that happens. All right, the next one is the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports Los Angeles City Council File 20-1045 to update the processes and procedures ordinance with additional criteria on what entitlements, such as legislative actions and conditional use permits, will be granted and should restrict actions from moving forward unless it can be established that they are in the public interest or otherwise adhere to established policies of the city. The sheer volume of entitlements can also erode public trust. Without clear established criteria, the public is left wondering how certain projects were allowed to be built in their communities. For this reason, it is necessary to provide additional criteria in the process and procedures ordinance on when legislative actions and other entitlements can occur. This motion is to be submitted as a community impact statement, CIS, to Council File 20-1045. And
Second.
Thank you, Richard. And do I have any public comments first? Okay, go Puppet. 1 minute.
Yes. We all know how entitlements are granted. You have to do three things in the developer community. Pay off the building inspector, pay off the council member, and donate to the office holder account. Those are the three steps. Put them in the motion. Let's come out of the closet. All you developers, let's all come out of the closet and admit those are the three requirements. Wouldn't everybody feel good at council meetings going, we want this. Sorry, I paid them all off. Let's have payoffs become legalized and transparent. Pence 2024, Ivanka Trump 2028, Donald Trump for king. Lifetime president, or until COVID takes him out or he's deemed incompetent by a competent jurisdiction. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Go Puppet. Your 1 minute is over. Do we have anyone else on this motion? Committee members? Jeff? Oh, Susan, let me have you go first. And let me get you unmuted. Yeah, go ahead.
As you know, I'm very, very new to this, and so I'm just looking at this line about the city's outdated zoning code, which makes many projects infeasible. Why aren't the zoning codes changed? I mean, that seems more reasonable than doing other things. Do you have any answer to that?
They are working on revising them, but it has been such a long process, and with COVID, it seems to have slowed down. So I think the city council person that proposed this motion just wanted to try and get ahead of the game on this regarding the processes and procedures ordinance without waiting for all the revisions to happen. So this is kind of something just to, get going now because the rest of it slowed down, and particularly in light of the Justice Department investigations on many council members and stuff. So in answer to your question.
Thank you.
Okay. Jeff? Let me get you.
Okay, thank you for recognizing me. In the third paragraph, they use the word infeasible, I-N, feasible. I'm not sure that's a word, but isn't it usually unfeasible?
No, infeasible is a word.
Okay, all right. I don't know everything. I also think what is incredible is this really, it seems to me that the key point here, and correct me if this is not new, that all of these entitlements are based upon a finding that they are in the public interest and that they can't move forward at all unless it can be established that they're in the public interest or otherwise adhere to established policies of the city. I think that if that, I don't know if that's ever been stated like that, but I think it is powerful and an excellent rule. The only thing I would say would be that the burden of proving that it is in the interest of the public and adheres to established policies should be on the developer, not on, it's not up to the city to prove that it isn't. It should be stated in here that the developer has the burden of proof to show that those two elements that they've put in here are satisfied.
Would you want to change our motion?
I would say that we support it if languages, if we say at the end of the first motion, the burden of proving I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Richard.
Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, I would suggest that we, where's the sentence here? Ding, ding, should be in public interest, that they are in the public interest, otherwise adhere to established policy of the city, comma, with the burden of proof being on the developer.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So this motion would need to say opposes, and then at the very end, can occur unless so Richard,
If otherwise adhere to the established policies of the city, comma, with the burden of proof to be on the developer, then I guess.
Unless the burden of proof.
No, with the burden of proof.
With.
Yeah. Yeah. Established policy of the city, comma, with the burden of proof to be on the developer. And then we support the city council to update the policy and processes, you know.
So let's see.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we're going to word this.
So, you know, the last sentence I had, for this reason, it is necessary to provide additional criteria in the processes and procedures ordinance on when legislative actions and other entitlements can occur with the burden of proof to be on the developer.
Even simpler.
Better.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I second the change.
Okay. I got you.
It.
Okay. Did you want me to read it one more time?
We're good.
All right. Because I've only changed.
One more. Could you do it one more time just for the record?
Yeah. The Board of
Thank
the
you.
Studio City Neighborhood Council opposes Los Angeles City Council file number 20-1045 to update the processes and procedures ordinance with additional criteria on when entitlements such as legislative actions and conditional use permits will be granted and should restrict actions from moving forward unless it can be established that they are in the public interest or otherwise adhere to established policies of the city. The sheer volume of entitlements can also erode public trust. Without clear established criteria, the public is left wondering how certain projects were allowed to be built in their communities. For this reason, it is necessary to provide additional criteria in the processes and procedures ordinance on when legislative actions and other entitlements can occur with the burden of proof to be on the developer.
Works for me.
Okay. All those in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm a yes.
Votes aye.
All right. We are unanimous again. Okay. On to the last of these four.
real
Yeah.
quick, Larry, sorry to interrupt. I just, because I received an email. I just wanted to make sure you're aware. So I know it was at the beginning of the meeting, people were unmuting themselves and disrupting. I want to be very clear. So I corrected that. So people are not allowed to unmute themselves at will, but that does mean that if someone has raised their hand for public comment, you then have to unmute them in order for them to be able to speak.
Right, and I have been, and
Okay, just want to be clear. Just want
yeah.
to make sure. I know I've been away from the
Yeah.
meeting. But I received an email from a mistake claiming that they were not being unmuted. So I just want to make sure that that was on the record, recorded. And clear.
Randy, for the record, he has unmuted the one alleged public participant each time that he is asked to talk.
Okay. Well, there are two people that are able to. That I've at least earlier there was one person listed as Goat Puppet and another person listed simply as Eric that have raised their hands.
We got Eric and we got Scott when he raised his hand.
Okay, perfect, very good. I just wanted
Yep.
to. I'm going to try putting my son to sleep. I just wanted to make sure that was.
We're in full compliance with the law.
I'm sure. I just wanted to be clear. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Belts and suspenders.
All right, the last one of these four is my proposed motion. Says the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports Los Angeles City Council File 20-1089 to continue the hold on the projects identified in the indictments and plea agreements as Project C, located at 940 South Hill Street, and Project H, located at 926 West James M. Wood Boulevard. Also, semicolon, initiate holds on two other projects identified in the indictments and plea agreements as Project D, located at 1020 South Figueroa Street, and Project M, located at 520 South Mateo Street, semicolon, and initiate holds on projects identified in any future indictments, plea agreements, or other documents made public by the Department of Justice or other prosecutorial agency where the facts asserted in such documents present a reasonable likelihood of potential corruption or fraud. So,
Second.
Thank you. And this one also to be submitted as a community impact statement to Council File 20-1089. And this council motion actually specifically calls out some of the projects that were brought forward by the Department of Justice. So we're just supporting them, holding off, putting holds on these projects. I'll go to public comment.
I note this is the U.S. Department of Justice, not the California DOJ.
Yeah, and I'll take that as a friendly amendment and add that. I'll put United States.
There you go.
Justice. All right, I'm going to comment. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes, on behalf of my brother and fellow sisters of the trade unions, we oppose this horrible motion. What's going to happen to those union jobs? The pipe fitters and the union construction men and women. What are they going to do if this doesn't get built? How's the city going to live without these developments? We need to build more shit, and we need to build it faster. Jose Huizar found a way to do it faster, better, and cheaper. Let's just be honest. They're simply mad because he cut the middleman out. $1,650,000 is all it costs to build 5 projects. It's much cheaper than buying 15 council seats. Let's give Jose Huizar his due. Let's thank him for all of his good work and building more shit. Let's give him a hand. Yay! 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 Jose Weezer, innocent of all charges. You'll see next.
All right, thank you. Go Puppet, your 1 minute is up. Are there any committee members that wish to comment on this one?
Maybe we give Jose Weezer a barbecue goat picnic as a going away present before he goes to the Fed.
Any other committee comments?
Jeff, you got anything on this?
Go ahead, Jeff. Oh, let me get you. Okay.
Am I okay?
Yeah.
I support this completely. I think it's, again, when I saw these, I was astounded at the, what seems to be a real turnaround on all of this stuff. I am not as familiar with the recent history for various reasons, but I think especially being able to stop these things in their tracks is something that we should support. And so I will vote in favor of this.
Thank you. Go ahead, Richard.
Niederberg or me?
Yeah, you. We don't have Niederberg tonight.
Okay, well, I didn't know if he'd showed up or not.
Yeah,
That's why I
sorry.
kept mentioning my last name.
Yeah.
Not a problem. I'm ready to vote. Move we vote.
Okay. All right.
One question is,
Yeah.
is not to exceed 20 days. 20 days seems like no time at all. Is that reasonable for people who know these things? The Department of Building and Safety holds not to exceed 20 days.
Yeah, that occurred to me too.
It's like 3 weeks, wow. Or 4 if you only count working
Or
days.
it'd be 20 business days.
Yeah, so a month. I guess.
I don't know. Do we want to say we don't support it unless they change that?
Yeah,
No.
I didn't have a chance to read anything. Thank you. I missed your name. Thank you,
Oh,
Susan.
I'm Su- I think it's good that they're going to stop it and look at things. It's just, and maybe they work faster than I would think cities do, but
No.
that was my only question.
Can I say one thing? If
Yeah.
we say 45 days, they're going to say it's too long. We're saying it's too short. How about if we say 30 days, 30 business days?
How about we say hold them until the people being charged by the feds are either acquitted or convicted?
Yeah, that'd be forever.
Yeah, that would be.
Well, then I'll take to somebody at DPS saying, go ahead and build it. Defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah, I'm almost tempted to say leave it as is, only because the fact that they're doing this at all is good. And
it'll look really bad if they allow it to sneak through.
Right.
Barry, I trust your judgment on these things. You've been,
Yeah,
writing these motions longer than me.
I just wondered if anybody else thought that was unreasonable.
I agree with Barry. Let's not stir the pot, and at least they're doing this. And it's, again, it seems to me to be a huge turnaround from what we've seen for the last years that I've lived here. And so.
And I would think that the people in the neighborhoods that didn't want these things to begin with will be on top of everything. And if there's even the sign that the holes are being released, there will be a huge shrieking of outrage.
And by the way, Richard, I like you too, and it's good to hear your voice after so long. I just wanted to say that. Richard Adams.
I'm not hard to find, Jeff.
I was just going to say there's a wide range of council members who have signed on to these various motions we've been talking about tonight. Mitchell Farrell, Marquise Harris Dawson, our own Paul Krikorian, the city council president, Nuri Martinez. So, yeah, I mean, I think they realize after Weezer, they really need to do some corrective action here. So,
Move to vote.
okay, we'll take a vote on this. It was seconded by Richard. All in favor?
Carter's in favor?
Thank you. I'm in favor. Richard Adams?
I'm in favor.
Okay, so it's again unanimous. All right, I'm going to move on to agenda item number 7. Discussion and possible motion with a community impact statement with respect to City Council File 20-1074. And just let me give you a little background to this first. Many of you are familiar with the temporary alfresco dining program that has allowed restaurants to set up dining in their parking lots, on bigger areas of the sidewalk than would normally be permitted, and even out into the street. And you know, the mayor has extended it as COVID-19 has sort of extended. But something that caught my eye in early September was Councilman Rue submitted a motion saying that this should be extended permanently. And since that came out, I've gotten some emails from a couple different stakeholders in a couple different places of Studio City just saying, if alfresco dining's wonderful, but as far as cars not parking in the parking lots where the alfresco dining is going on, I've been told, yes, we accept that during the pandemic, but when it's over, these cars are now parking in our neighborhoods, and it's multifamily neighborhoods, apartments, condos, as well as single-family homes. And so that's why I have the following motion. And it just says, the board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council opposes Los Angeles City Council File 20-1074 for a permanent alfresco dining program, unless all originally required public and private parking spaces revert back to pre-pandemic requirements within 90 days of Los Angeles County qualifying to end participation in the state's 4-colored tier closure chart. So in other words, when LA County has the blessing that it's all over with, after 90 days, the parking spaces need to resume. And that's all it is. And that will be at a point that restaurants can be using 100% of their indoor dining. I don't think this is unreasonable. And I think our residential neighborhoods are very understanding now, but I think we need to look at this beyond. And once we have the amount of immunizations for this virus that the county says we should have, and we get off the 4-colored tier closure chart, that 90 days after, you know, we ought to get back to some sort of normalcy and not have people parking in neighborhoods where they never parked before to go to a restaurant. So thank you, Richard. And I'll go to public comment first. I see one hand up, Goat Puppet. Go ahead.
See, I told you what was going to happen. Once they take your sidewalks and streets, they never give it back. And we're going to have to do what we did with Hitler back in France. We're going to have to land on the beaches of Normandy and liberate the Vichy government. Well, that's an excellent analysis. Yes, I've been reading lately. So, they will never give it back, never. So, we have to not only support this motion, we also have to send it to the FBI and say, when are these motherfuckers going to give us back our sidewalks and streets? So, yes, the Goat Puppet for the first time in 9 years supports the motion. Thank you so much.
And here I didn't buy a lottery ticket today.
Thanks for your support, Goat Puppet. Yes, Jeff, I see your hand, and let me get you unmuted. Hold on.
Are there any other public
Okay.
comments?
I don't see any other hands raised, so go ahead, Jeff.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is a recipe for disaster, the way that it's written. And I think it would be impossible to enforce. There would be, it would be, you know, it would be a complete disaster in every neighborhood. And so it cannot be permanent. If you've got the room to do it, fine. For example, there's one restaurant I'm thinking of that has a back open area. The smokehouse has had tables set up, but that's not the point. I just think that that your motion is correct, and I agree with Goat Puppet. Let's be friends, Goat Puppet, okay? And I would support the motion as written by or as suggested by Barry.
Thank you. Any other committee members?
Can
Go
I say,
ahead, Susan. Yes.
you know, I not only have problems with the parking, which if, you know, I live right across from Mr. O's and the tavern where they've wiped out all the parking, but also obstructing the sidewalks. You know, now they've put in so many tables on the sidewalk, you can't walk by them. So I think we should add something about going back to original numbers of allowable tables on the sidewalk as well.
I would agree with that amendment.
Okay.
After COVID, you know,
Trying to see where we could insert this.
Trying to find your motion, Barry. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, I'm thinking when I get to unless all originally required public and private parking spaces.
As well as ADA access?
Yeah, as well as sidewalk ADA access.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
right now, don't they have rules about parking per number of spaces, or, you know, there's, when you expand out onto the sidewalk, you're supposed to have even more parking places, aren't you?
Actually, outdoor dining does not increase a business's requirement for parking spaces. And we've always thought that was bad, but it does. Yeah, that's the law. But in the before the pandemic, when restaurants went to get a sidewalk permit, they did have a requirements, you know, to keep ADA access available on the sidewalk. So they could only do so much, and when they would apply, the city would tell them exactly what they could and couldn't do based on their sidewalk width. So, so I think by saying as well as sidewalk ADA access, inserting that and then revert back to pre-pandemic requirements will cover us.
Yeah.
And I'll take that as a friendly amendment from Susan. And go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you, Susan. Can I ask a question? Your motion here says, and I agree with the idea, it's just a matter of timing. Unless all originally required blah, blah, blah spaces revert to pre-pandemic requirements within 90 days of the city or the county qualifying to end in participation in the four-colored tiered thing. My only question is, do we think that that's 3 months? That means they can keep doing it for 3 months after we're so-called out of the woods. And I'm just, which,
Yeah, I was.
I'm just raising the issue. I'm not.
I was told by somebody to do 90 days because
Okay.
that's standard to give somebody to comply. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Good. Thank you.
And like within the specific plan, there's a lot of things that have 90-day compliance. So since
Yeah.
so much of what we have is in the specific plan, it just keeps it in line with that.
And the other thing is these places that have been closed on the inside are going to have to do a lot of work and cleaning or whatever to get ready to take people in. So I understand, and I support the motion as you wrote it.
And as amended with the sidewalk ADA access.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Do I need to read this again for anybody?
You want to read it
Okay.
for
Not me.
just for the record, so nobody can say
Yeah.
that we slipped something by without being,
Yeah.
you know,
The board-
transparent and all that jazz.
Sure. The board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council opposes Los Angeles City Council file number 20-1074 for a permanent alfresco dining program unless all originally required public and private parking spaces as well as sidewalk reverts instead of plural, reverts back to pre-pandemic requirements within 90 days of Los Angeles County qualifying to end participation in the color tiered closure chart. This motion is to be submitted as a community impact statement, CIS, to Council File 20-1074.
Second,
And Richard Adams second. Oh, well, Richard already did.
can I
well,
join in the
So it's
second?
not second for discussion. He's seconding for the as amended.
Yeah, second
Yeah.
as amended, Jeff. Yes.
Right.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes from Susan,
Carter.
Rick, Jeff,
Carter votes in favor.
and Adams, and I vote, Barry votes yes, so we have unanimous.
And Barry, thank you for all the work you did on writing these things. Really.
Yeah,
serious.
trying
It was
to,
enough. It was enough work to read the resolutions. You went and wrote our resolutions. So
well, I went back to some agendas from like 5 years ago, and I was just seeing how Rita had written some things that were community impact statements because I didn't even remember. So, yeah, it helped.
I just want to note what also a point of order. Someone has just checked in under the name Anonymous, which I believe is probably improper. I can't come into a meeting with a bag over my head and claim anonymity. And I would suggest that that person, whoever it is, either indicate who they are or not be recognized.
Okay.
For the record.
For the record. All right, I'm going to go on to number 8, comments from committee members on subject matter within our committee's jurisdiction. Does anyone have anything they want to bring up?
Nope, just that I'm glad to see government affairs. I'm glad to be back working with government affairs, and I'm glad to see us addressing the sort of items we were supposed to address and not just chasing after whatever wild hair is up somebody's fourth point of contact. It's a nice change, and you and our chair are to be congratulated, as well as Randy.
Thank you, Richard. And I think there's probably plenty more on the horizon to be addressed. So there should be more like this. Yeah. Closing comments. Number 9.
I just had a comment. Barry.
Go ahead. Yes.
I was, first of all, again, as I wrote to you, thrilled to be asked to either continue and or rejoin this committee. And I meant that. And I think this is one of the most professionally run and well commented upon meetings I've ever been in with the Studio City Neighborhood Council on any committee. And also, as I said before, the issue of corruption in Los Angeles has been it's not been a secret that it's been an issue. And I am, just for the record, absolutely amazed and happy that these motions have been made. And I just hope that the city council will adopt them and follow through and do what their own motions say that they should do. It's the rule of law. And so this may be a turning point in Los Angeles history.
Well, let's hope.
And maybe thanks goes to the United States Department of Justice, but I'll take it from wherever it comes from. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you, Anonymous.
On number 8, Anonymous is giving us clapping hands. Okay. Closing comments for the committee chair. I was just going to say I'm not positive when the next meeting will be because I don't know if Lois can do 6 o'clock on Wednesday nights. I'm hoping she can, but when either Randy and or I speak with her again, we will find out. There was some mention of perhaps Monday night too, but I just don't know yet. So if it's going to be the first Wednesday in November at 6, consider it to be that unless you hear differently. And if it is going to be changed, we'll get you polled to see if another date would work. So
Is that the night before the election?
Night after.
The Wednesday's the night after.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wednesday, yes, Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah. So the city will probably be in flames.
And I suspect even if she changed it to Monday, I don't think she'd do it the night before the election, maybe a week from that Monday. So
Yeah, and I think we know who's going to carry California, so, you know.
yeah, California.
Hopefully California won't matter.
But thank you all, and I appreciate being asked to come back. I really do.
And thank you for joining us. We're grateful. So
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Adjourn at 7:12. And who was the second?
Carter.
Okay.
I got to go cook dinner for Denise. She's got this weird idea she needs to eat every evening.
All right.
Hey.
Thank you, everybody, and see you next
Say
month.
hello to Denise.
And,
I will, Jeff. I'll be in touch with you tomorrow or the next day.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Thank you,
Thank
Susan. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.